The head of Chechnya, Ramzan Kadyrov, has created an impressive army which is only formally considered part of the Russian military machine, but in fact remains on the sidelines of active military operations with Ukraine, Russian media writes. As it became known from a recent statement by Kadyrov himself, he has at his disposal a reserve of 84,000 fighters who are ready to move to the front lines at the first order, but are still remaining at a safe distance. Over the nearly 3 years of war with Ukraine, Kadyrov has nearly tripled the size of his armed forces, bringing their number to 19 units. However, these forces are used primarily to demonstrate loyalty to the Kremlin and strengthen Kadyrov's internal power, rather than to participate in actual combat operations. Formally, Chechen units are subordinate to the Ministry of Defense, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, or the Russian National Guard, but in reality they remain exclusively under Kadyrov's control. Most of them are stationed in Chechnya and almost never leave the republic. In the media, such forces have been nicknamed TikTok troops for their staged videos that simulate combat, while real clashes are left to other Russian units. The only unit that Kadyrov actually sends to the front is the volunteer battalion Akhmat, which includes almost no Chechens. This formation is led by Lieutenant General Akhmat-Chechnya. It is the fighters of the Akhmat who, after minimal training, are sent to the front lines, while Kadyrov's other formations remain in the rear or are used to guard Russia's border regions, such as the Belgorod and Kursk regions. However, even in the border regions, Chechen fighters are not demonstrating effectiveness. In August, when Ukrainian troops broke through the border in the Kursk region, the Akhmat-Chechnya battalion stationed in the region was unable to hold its positions. Ukrainian forces captured part of the territory in a matter of hours, and even fighters from Kadyrov's battalion were among the prisoners. It seems that Kadyrov is not prepared to risk the bulk of his forces for the sake of war with Ukraine. Units loyal to him, consisting mainly of ethnic Chechens, are retained as an instrument of personal power and stabilization of the situation inside Chechnya. While other Russian regions are losing thousands of mobilized troops, the Chechen army is demonstratively remaining in reserve. Against the backdrop of the Russian army's defeat and the intensification of Ukrainian counterattacks, this looks like a deliberate strategy to conserve resources, which could cause discontent among Kadyrov's allies in the Kremlin. He continues to use war as a tool to expand his army, but is not prepared to spend these forces on real fighting.
In Moscow, Mikhail Shatsky, Deputy General Designer of the Mars Design Bureau and head of the software department, was liquidated on December 10. He was involved in upgrading the X-59 missiles to the level of the X-69, which the Russian troops use for strikes on Ukraine. It should be noted that the first to write about Shatsky's death was Russian journalist Alexander Nevzorov. According to him, the operation was carried out by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Today, the GUR forces in Moscow eliminated a particularly harmful criminal, Deputy General Designer, head of the software department of the Mars Design Bureau Mikhail Shatsky, Nevzorov reported on his Telegram channel. According to him, Shatsky was involved in upgrading X-59 cruise missiles to the X-69 level, introducing new UAVs, and is guilty of the deaths of thousands of innocent Ukrainians. The information about the liquidation of this Russian official was confirmed to RBC Ukraine by sources in the Ukrainian Defense Forces. The interlocutors also reported that it was a GUR operation. In addition, according to data from open sources, the Russian Federation, at the Mars Design Bureau, is engaged in the modernization and production of control systems for booster units and onboard control systems for the Raduga cruise missiles as part of a state defense order. At the same time, Raduga itself specializes in the development and production of cruise missiles for various purposes. Let us add that, in addition to the above-mentioned specialization, Shatsky was also involved in the development and forecasting of the reliability of onboard control systems for spacecraft based on the theory of neural networks, as well as a number of other issues related to spacecraft. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited the positions of soldiers from the 27th Rocket Artillery Brigade in Zaporizhia on Thursday. Zelensky marked Ukrainian Ground Forces Day by presenting soldiers with awards and thanking them for their service to the country. According to Zelensky's presidential office, the 27th Brigade was the first in Ukraine to receive high-mobility artillery rocket systems, HIMARS, and now provides artillery support for the defense of the Zaporizhia and Donetsk regions. The Ukrainian leader also visited an underground frontline surgical unit where medics provide urgent care to wounded soldiers brought directly from the battlefield. So far, the hospital has treated more than 1,000 wounded soldiers, Zelensky's presidential office said.